And when you shoot a person, the first thing that everybody worries about is, oh my God, somebody's going to take my photo. And when you pull out one of these giant cameras like this, they even get more nervous. Now, a lot of professional photographers, what they'll do is I want to have a conversation with Joseph here. I don't want him to be really, really nervous. I want him to be calm. Remember Chris Orwig and what he was talking about earlier. His subjects were calm. They were in that space. And we don't want people to be nervous. We don't want people to see this. This is a wall. So as soon as I put this camera up here, my voice changes. The direction of my voice changes. You can't see my face. You can't see how I'm reacting to what you're doing. So what a lot of photographers do is they'll just sit here and talk about it. They'll just sit, I'll put it on my lap here. Or I'll set it off to the side. Or a lot of newspaper photographers, they'll just bring the camera back down and they'll talk to the person. They'll have a conversation. And then every once in a while, they'll bring up the camera, they'll shoot, and then they'll bring it back down, and then they'll keep talking. Remove this wall. It's a little bit of an impedance to taking good portraits. Okay. So, what I'm going to do here, one thing about lighting real fast is, I almost forgot, is obviously we want the softest light possible. So one way that we create soft light is to make it bigger. Now I obviously can't take this softbox and I can't make it bigger. It's the size it is. What I can do, however, is make it bigger relative to my subject. So all I have to do is move it closer. Yeah, it is a little warm. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Actually, I'm going to move it back right quick. One thing about lighting, there's a really interesting story. Chris Orwig talked about Arnold Newman, the father of modern portraiture. He took environmental portraits, where he had the subject within the environment that related to him. There was this old Nazi industrialist, not a very nice guy. He's a Nazi, so not a very nice person. So they got Arnold Newman, who was an American photographer at a magazine. It's a very famous portrait. And they sent him over to Europe to go shoot this guy. And this guy had missed the Nuremberg trials. He was not a particularly nice guy. And Time wanted to do a story about how bad this guy really was. But that guy didn't know that. All he heard was the fact that he was going to be in a magazine article. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to be on the front page of, I think it was Time, or one of the major magazines. So Arnold Newman gets up there and he has two strobes with him. I think there's some other lighting in the photo, but primarily he gets them low. He gets them low on the subject, and he puts what are called gels. Photographers use gels. They're just little pieces of plastic, and they change the color of your light. So he gives it just a little bit of green tint to it. And the overall photo just has this little bit of green tint. Now he sets those lights low for a very important reason, because we as humans are very, very used to light being a little high. We're used to sun. So this softbox is a little bit high on my subject coming down, because that's the way that we're used to looking at it. Now what Arnold Newman was doing by putting them very, very low is he was creating like shadows that we're not used to. A light source that we're not really used to. Something will look off. You remember when you would tell stories around the campfire, you're a kid, you put the light under here, you look really creepy. You look really creepy. And that's what Arnold Newman was doing to that guy. He puts these strobes really low, a little bit of green tint, and he makes this guy look like Frankenstein. So I'm going to increase the softness of my light by getting it closer to my subject. Now, one of the things I want you guys to experiment, because everyone here should be manipulating their key light, is that if I want a more dramatic portrait, I can move my light here. And notice that I've increased the shadow, the difference between one side of his face and the other. The right side of his face is very bright and the left side is very dark. It's going to be a very, very dramatic portrait. So it's almost at a 90-degree angle when I plan to shoot. So let's see what that looks like real quick.
Go ahead and smile. Sure.
Probably overly dramatized, Joseph here.
Not smiling anymore.
So if I move it closer over here, if I get it closer to the axis of my camera, I just wanted to turn towards me just a little bit.
That, a little better.
Yeah. Let's get this right about here. I can see that the light is much more evenly, so I'm almost right on top of, almost getting in my way a little bit, but I'm not. So, because I can zoom in here just a little bit.